who had first dibs on those resources. So what he did was he went to the man and he said, hey, have you heard about Ruth and Naomi? Well, they're here, and you, as the closer relative than I, have first dibs on, everything that belonged to Elimelech and his sons. But the thing about that is, when a man comes forward, and they call it redemption. When a man comes forth to redeem the property of a dead man, he basically forfeits his own, whatever he has, that's his own. So the man who, the relative who was the closer relative, he was like, nah, that's okay, because, I have my own, I got my own stuff going on, you can go ahead and, you can go ahead and have that. Because the thing too is that Boaz told him, you will have to also take Ruth, the Moabite woman. And I think, reading between the lines, I think that's what kind of deterred him as well, because he didn't want to be the guy who took the Moabite woman in. Right, exactly. Right. So he knew what he was doing, Boaz knew what he was doing. So, and the custom of the time, which to me it's kind of funny to me, it's like the precursor to the handshake. What they would do is they would exchange sandals. So that was basically how you would seal the deal. Instead of a handshake, you would exchange sandals. Right. So, and Boaz and this man, they met in like not a cafe, but maybe some type of little public marketplace, but it was out in the open, where everybody could see. So Boaz, he's like, okay, hear ye, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to go ahead and do this redemption process. So everybody watch. So the guys, they take the sandal off, they exchange the sandals, and that was basically like the payment for for him taking over that redemption. But the thing is that in Boaz is doing it, he was able to continue the line of Elimelech. And he didn't just say, I'm going to take all that they have and now it's just mine. He honored Elimelech, Chilion, and Mahlon so that their names wouldn't just die off in the record, that their names would, continue in the record in the genealogy. And so, he went ahead and married Ruth, and she became his wife. And let's see, was another point I wanted to make. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is the most important thing, and I'm gonna close it up right now. All right. So we talked about Boaz's genealogy. He was the son of Rahab and Salmon, and Boaz, by continuing, that bloodline, and by redeeming them and not just letting, because if Boaz hadn't, because the other relative wasn't going to take them, point blank, he just was not going to. So if Boaz had not done that, Elimelech's bloodline would have died off with his two sons, Mahlon and Chilion. But by Boaz continuing the bloodline, Boaz actually is King David's great-grandfather, and we know that Jesus is descended from King David. So in doing this, he continued the bloodline and led the way, so that we could have our Redeemer. So,
Okay.
So that's it. So I'm thankful to Boaz, because without Boaz, we wouldn't have redemption. So I'm thankful to Boaz. And that concludes my